Hey guys, this is a review for Ruth Ware's new book, The Woman in Cabin 10. This is the author of In a Dark, Dark Wood, which I wasn't the hugest fan of, honestly, and I requested this from the publisher. This is an arc from the publisher, before I read her other book, and I haven't had a chance to talk about In a Dark, Dark Wood, because I've just not done a wrap-up for the past few months, but honestly, neither of these really impressed me all that much. I do feel that this one was a little bit better, though. So this story surrounds a woman named Lo, a journalist. I guess I never really got a sense that she gave much of a crap about journalism at all, who has just had a traumatic experience. I won't go into too much detail about it, but it's a big deal to the character, understandably so. After this, she's given the opportunity to be a representative for the magazine that she works for on a brand new, super exclusive luxury miniature cruise ship owned and run by a wealthy, somewhat powerful couple who want to give this really great experience to a select few people on board this ship. There are only 10 cabins. Those 10 cabins are filled with people from the press and the media, Lo included. She knows a few of them already and doesn't know a couple of others. On her first night there, as she prepares for dinner, she realizes that she didn't pack mascara, and she kind of leaves her cabin and goes to the next one over, cabin 10. A woman answers the door, looking very much disheveled and out of place, not ready at all for a formal dinner event on a luxury cruise, and anxiously kicks Lo out of her doorway after handing over a tube of mascara and insisting Lo keep it. So Lo goes back to her cabin, gets ready, goes to the party, comes back drunk and barely functioning on the minimal sleep she's gotten over the last few days. She hears a strange noise from the cabin over, cabin 10, and she sees blood on the glass of cabin 10's private balcony door and is terrified and then calls for help. Things progress on the ship, things continue to go in due course while Lo investigates this weirdness, as the head of security and no one else really believes her about what happened because of how intoxicated and traumatized she seems to be all the time. So this had some good points and some bad points. I'll start with the good. It had a very distinct and believable atmosphere. A small group of people trapped, as Lo would see it anyway, trapped on the ship together out to sea with conveniently zero connection, literally no internet connection or phone connection whatsoever, to the outside world for a whole week. This is a good setting, sort of reminiscent of Agatha Christie, at least in that regard. So that was good, and I enjoyed that part of it, that overall atmosphere. But the characters, every character other than Lo barely existed, in my opinion. There's hardly any depth to them, not just because they aren't ever fully explored, and not just because they're hardly distinguishable from one another besides a few key exaggerated personality traits. I mean, don't get me wrong, it is those things, but it's also that we only ever follow Lo. This is first-person perspective, and we follow Lo as she basically spends the whole week distancing herself from the others and doing her own investigative kind of thing most of the time. And Lo is just insufferable. Honestly, she's the worst. She is an idiot. She's such an idiot almost 100% of the time. It's so hard to feel anything for her because every decision she makes feels like the wrong one. And every time she gets a bit introspective, it's the same thing over and over. She never really changes or gets more interesting, and she's so whiny. The decisions she makes no sense a lot of the time. She gets a bit tougher, I guess, in the last 10% or so, but before that, she's so hard to care about. And the most interesting bits of her are that she's kind of uncomfortable. Like, there's this interesting sense of discomfort that she exuberates. It's weird and it's interesting. She's got this kind of polar opposite selfish thing going on, which kind of works for her. But something that really held her back is that weird, pointless, traumatic thing that happened to her at the beginning. I get the feeling that she's supposed to be this woman who feels broken in a way. Her spirit has just been drained, and she's scared all the time. And we're supposed to see her be super active in the story, and she is. She's active, and she moves the story going along. I'll give her that. But the traumatic experience was just thrown in there. It seems to have no bearing on the story. And just the way it's written, it gives off this weird feeling that it's being used as a device. It doesn't feel necessary for the story, and this feels a bit like extortion, and then is pounded into us over and over again, which I think was supposed to make us feel it even more, feel for the character's emotions even more, when in reality it just turns her into a tool with which the writer is using to force both the character and us into one mindset, and there's just no purpose to it, really. And overall, I think the book was fast-paced and easy to read. If you're into a secluded, anxious atmosphere, you might enjoy this. The ending wasn't much worth all the build-up. The twists are kind of dumb. The first big twist is especially dumb, but then there's another twist that's a little bit less dumb, so they kind of even each other out a little bit, I guess. But it really wasn't much of an ending, unfortunately, and I wasn't that into it. So that's it. I think that's everything I have to say. If you guys have read this or have read In a Dark, Dark Wood, let me know what you thought about either of them. I think they're not the best, but maybe I'll try the next thing that she comes out with anyway, just to see if she gets better, because I do think, like I said, that this one was a little bit better than In a Dark, Dark Wood, so maybe she'll get better. But I think that's it. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you later with more.